You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the programme tonight, as the Aam Aadmi Party cancels FDI in multi-brand retail for Delhi, industry says this will hurt investor sentiment, while the Commerce Minister slams the move as devoid of logic. Will AAP's economics scare away investors? Also tonight, Rahul Gandhi has finally said he's ready for any responsibility the party will give him. But will projecting him as the prime ministerial candidate for the Congress be a game changer, or is it too late? But first tonight, Commerce Minister Anand Sharma has sharply attacked the Aam Aadmi Party today for scrapping foreign direct investment in multi-brand retail in Delhi, calling it populism bordering on anarchy. Industry has also said the move will hurt investor sentiment, but Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal stands by the decision, saying it will lead to unemployment.
Announcements are not fulfillment of policy. Populism bordering anarchy is not good governance. Theatrics should be avoided. We are not a banana republic.
Commerce and Industry Minister Anand Sharma lashing out at the Aam Aadmi Party government for scrapping FDI in multi-brand retail in Delhi, a move that has shocked industry leaders as well. In a strongly worded statement, Industry Chamber FICCI said, this direct negation without demonstrating a search for a viable alternative will hamper investment sentiment. Meanwhile, retail stocks today took a beating in trade today, reflecting the grim mood. Delhi Congress leaders have termed the decision illegal, saying they will take up the issue in the assembly, as a minority government cannot take such arbitrary actions.
It cannot be happen that a minority government on its own one day write a letter and say that Delhi will not have FDI. Legally also their decision will stand.
But the Aam Aadmi Party maintains the decision has been taken in the interest of the people.
मेरे पास इतने लोग आ रहे हैं आजकल, सब लोग नौकरी मांग रहे हैं, कहां से नौकरी देंगे?
But do these images reflect the new political reality? Kapil Sibal embracing his bitter opponent, now Delhi's new chief minister. Industry experts say the decision of the AAP government will dent investor sentiment, as it's a big blow to the centre's efforts of wooing foreign investors in the retail space. But with increasing uncertainty on who will form the government at the centre, most foreign players are in any case in a wait-and-watch mode. In New Delhi, Shweta Rajpal Kohli, NDTV.
So will AAP's economics scare away investors? That's what we're asking tonight. Joining us from the Aam Aadmi Party tonight, we have Praveen Singh, who's a member of the party. Here in the studio with us, national spokesperson of the BJP, Pinky Anand. We also have a senior journalist, Ashok Malik, joining us tonight. Rabbi Shergill, well-known singer and also a strong supporter of the Aam Aadmi Party, joins us here in the studio this evening. We'll be joined shortly by Gurcharan Das, a senior economist, and Abhishek Singhvi of the Congress Party. Mr. Singh, let me ask you first. Anand Sharma today has reacted very strongly, saying that these are theatrics, that the move by Arvind Kejriwal is devoid of any logic, and that this was a decision that was taken without any merit. How would you respond to that criticism by someone who's not just the Commerce Minister but comes from a party that lends support to your government in Delhi?
Yeah, I think this was part of our manifesto, and there's a clear reason behind it. See, all the touted benefits of FDI in retail are extremely suspect. One, they say it will benefit the farmer. It has been found that actually when you have these large-scale multi-brand kind of supermarkets, they actually push the farmer into going for lower prices because the whole power equation is different, and this has been found across the world. When they say that more jobs would be created, that is probably the most laughable thing. If you look at numbers for, say, something like the turnover to employee ratio for something like Walmart, it's for a 400 billion kind of sale, they have 2.1 million employees. So if you take that number in the Indian context, for the entire retail trade, they would probably employ somewhere between 3 to 4 million people. Currently, we have about 30 million people employed by retailers. So that's the biggest joke of it all. Then if there is also this thing that it will lower food prices or inflation, that has not actually been found. If you look at the Latin American experience, if you look at Africa, if you look at Southeast Asia, even in India, places like Bangalore or something, and I'm talking about food because 63% of retail is food, actually supermarket and these multi-brand retail kind of outlets have typically prices higher than the traditional markets. The last argument that it will boost the economy, etc., we need more foreign investment. See, even today, foreign investment is less than 10% of the total investment in the country. And there are already large-scale retailers in the country itself. If this was such a viable business, all these large-scale retailers, the Indian retailers, nothing is preventing them from investing more in this sector.
But
so the whole
there.
Logic in that sense
the point
is faulty.
Mr. Singh, that many would say the Indian retailers are already there. They are alongside the Kirana stores,
so if there was
and
such
no one's been unemployed as a result. So the two are coexisting.
That is
the
again
question though
data.
is on the question of principle, that when a decision has been taken by a previous government, is it wise, because it's a different political dispensation, to reverse that, because it has implications not just for Delhi, but for the way it looks for foreign investors for India?
There are a million other things I would have liked to point out, how it affects the manufacturing, etc. But let me answer your question. What is wise? Something that is pro-people is wise. The only states that have held on to this clause is the states that are ruled by Congress. We are probably the 10th state in the country. Look at UP, look at Bihar, West Bengal, Gujarat, MP, Tamil Nadu, all of them have gone against this decision. So it was because there was a Congress government here in Delhi which had to go by the kind of whip of the party in the center, which also, if you look at it, in 2011 when Congress passed this legislation, they could not even get their allies into it. It was passed by an executive decision. There was a huge uproar amongst people, and finally they
But they had every right to do that. But Abhishek Singhvi, why is the Congress so taken aback?
The point I'm trying to make is they could not get half of the MPs in the parliament to pass this as a law.
Well, it is up to individual states to decide, which is what a decision that you have taken, Mr. Singh. And Abhishek Singhvi, then why is the Congress so surprised? Because, as Mr. Singh pointed out, this is something that was in the Aam Aadmi Party's manifesto. It's hardly a shock that they opposed FDI in multi-brand retail and that they would reverse it.
No, I think we have to step back, Nidhi, and see the larger perspective. I don't think I would question the jurisdiction of a competently formed government to do something. Nobody is saying that they cannot do it. I am talking about how you have to subordinate your own knee-jerk subjective perceptions for the larger national interest. You are today in government, you have to be tempered by reasonableness and by sobriety. Today, there is a policy which has been agreed to by a predecessor government. There is a saying that governments of political parties change, the state does not change. The state is the same, the state of Delhi is the same. It invites FDI. There is stability and certainty. Suddenly, because you have a different manifesto, manifestos can be for promising more things. They can't be simply to abrogate something which is a policy unless it is so patently pernicious. It creates complete, now just consider, if on political lines, all over India, three different shades of political opinion were to divide on FDI, what is the common national interest we are doing? That's point number one. What signal are we sending outside? And point number three is, this is not done in a day. There were actual agreements, discussions, minuted meetings between each state. Delhi is only one of them. And only those states whose decision was minuted in parlance with the central government, thereafter the central government issued a notification. Now, certainly you have a power, one Punjab government, even though it was a government, it was a Congress-led government, Mr. Amrinder Singh passed a state law of Punjab abrogating the central law of water sharing, because Punjab local sentiment was running very high. But do you think the Congress supported it? Do you think the government of India, the UPA-led government supported it? No, because there are certain national perspectives. You can't have pique and anger and a certain a political angle to everything in terms of policy perspective.
But the
and
fact
let me tell you,
yeah,
as you start going from the Delhi to the central stage, you will realize that it is all good for the short term, but you will soon find that people don't appreciate this kind of zigzag.
But the fact is that it has always been a highly politically contentious issue.
Tomorrow BJP government comes with a different manifesto. Suppose tomorrow the BJP government comes with a third manifesto, and they have then, no, contentious issues are the ones which is why FDI took almost, in a sense, 4 or 5 years in coming, and in a sense 2 or 3 years. It was contentious.
Okay, let me take this to Mr. Singh briefly again.
It
Mr.
was only
Praveen Singh,
after deliberation of
let me
almost
just
3
read
to
out
6
to you
months.
what industry has said. Let's just forget Anand Sharma and the Congress for a moment. CIA and FICCI say that this will lead to hamper investor sentiment. Consumers would have benefited from choices of products at competitive prices. If one party, ASSOCHAM has said, if one party reverses the decision of its rival dispensation upon change of guard, the policy and political risks for investors would definitely increase in India, scaring them away. This is industry reaction, Mr. Singh, and I'll bring Gurcharan Das into this after that. Mr. Singh, how would you respond to then the industry's concerns about the AAP's policies?
See, like I said, all the touted benefits of FDI in retail across the world have not shown up on the ground. So what we are saying is, actually, if you really want to enlarge this debate, one of the crises today is that economic theory is failing society. And it's not a non-entity like Praveen saying from another non-entity like Aam Aadmi Party who's saying that. People like Joseph Stiglitz have been saying this for the last 10 years, that are actually what textbook theory is not explaining the phenomena on the ground. If you look at empirical evidence, things are not working out as theory is saying it out to be. So all this thing about benefits to consumers, about increased jobs, like I said, we are not the first country trying out this multi-brand retail format. Across South America, across Latin America, across Southeast Asia, we are saying that. So we have to look at new evidence and look and explore new models. Industry is not the reason for governance. Industry is a means for people's well-being. So we collectively with the industry need to relook at some of these things and come out with better models. In that sense, I think 30% of Delhi is dependent on its employment in the retail sector. The first thing that happens is there is a loss of jobs. The single biggest problem in the country today after inflation is lack of jobs.
Who's going
with
to lose
all
the jobs?
These imponderables.
What is the evidence you have that this would create unemployment?
I'm saying that like I told you, if you look at a retailer like Walmart, it has a turnover to employee ratio which is 1/10 of the turnover to employee ratio of the current Indian retail industry. You know what that means? It means if you were to employ
Gurcharan Das wants to come in on that. Yes, Mr. Das.
Yeah.
You know, I think the facts of Mr. Singh are totally wrong. The fact is that 60% of 60 countries in the world today allow FDI in retail. Most of them are welcoming and clamoring, and we should ask why. And the reason they want it is because it lowers prices for the consumers. And the reason why, and it helps, it increases the returns for the farmers. And it does not lead to job losses, as China has shown. China opened up in 1992, and it is now in 2012, only 20% of Chinese trade was modern trade. And they found that actually the number of jobs had risen overall in the retail sector. And so let's look, why is it that everybody wants this, wants modern retail? The reason is simple. Supposing you go to buy tomatoes in the market, and your tomatoes cost you 20 rupees. Now, in that 20 rupees, the farmer generally will get in India only 5 rupees. The reason is there are lots of middlemen on the way, the Arathiya, the wholesaler, the retailer, and others. And whereas if you have modern retail, what happens is that the farmer sells directly to the retailer, and the retailer sells it directly to the consumer. So the same tomatoes for which you paid 20 rupees, you could probably pay for 16, and the farmer who got 5 would probably get 8. And so what you see is that inflation comes down as a result of this, farmers' returns grow up, and I would like to ask the Aam Aadmi Party, what kind of jobs do you want? Your constituency today in Delhi are aspiring. They're aspirers. Do you want them to work in kirana shops, or do you want them to work in a modern, and you ask them, don't decide for them. Anybody will want to work for Tesco or Walmart rather than be exploited by a kirana. The problem with the Aam Aadmi Party is that it's forgotten that its real base are aspiring Indians. And what they think are like old style leftists. They want to take us back to the
period before 1991. They want to bring license Raj back to India. And this is why they think of the Indians as being poor. And we are seeing poverty and povertarian populist politics of the worst kind.
Okay,
and
one second, Abhishek Singhvi. I'll get Ravi Shergill in here. Mr. Singh, I'll just give you a chance. Let Mr. Shergill come in here because he's been listening patiently. He's also a supporter of your party. Mr. Shergill, I'll give you time, I promise. Yes.
Nidhi, I'm not the economist here, but over the last 30 years, I haven't seen a single article, I haven't seen any household good in which FDI retail has been introduced, or I mean, we are wearing these expensive clothes and I'm wearing branded clothes. I don't think necessarily things have become easier for the common man. And I think I see this shadow of postmodernist kind of capitalism is good, growth is good kind of philosophy, just riding roughshod over almost everything. My experience, people of my community, my farmer community, their experience tells me that big pharma has destroyed Punjab. I come from a state where water is gone. I come from a state where we have lost 7 inches of topsoil, all thanks to Monsanto, all thanks to big pharma, and now they want to bring in, my experience, whatever little I see, I see big business.
You have a problem with big business?
I see big business as an instrument of foreign policy by America, and it simply doesn't make any sense. It takes away our sovereignty. It takes away our autonomy. It's simply, you just don't hand it over on a platter to all of them. Everyone who's in opposition, when they are free of American pressure, they do not want this. BJP doesn't want this, Congress doesn't want this. The moment they're in the party, the moment they're in power, they simply kowtow to whatever America says. It is the first instance where I see a major decision being taken. Yes, it is a major turnaround. Yes, it is a major shift. But simply because it's a major shift doesn't make it undesirable.
Okay, Abhishek Singhvi and then Ashok Malik.
Nidhi, brief point I forgot to mention. I think we are missing the real point, I'm sorry to say. The arguments in favor of FDI are weighty, manifold and diverse. But let me for a moment assume that there is going to be a dispute about whether my argument in favor of FDI is correct or your argument against FDI is correct. That's an inconclusive debate because nobody has studied the figures in such detail on a television program to be able to prove one or the other. So let me assume that the arguments are highly disputatious, or even that perhaps the arguments against are there in a big way. The point we are missing is, Nidhi, that debate has been done for over 6 months to a year in India in the recent past. And after that, there is some virtue in finality as a virtue and an end in itself. Finality is an ideal to which societies aspire for stability and certainty. You have a debate for 1 year, you decide something, now you are reopening the exact same debate.
But this is
tomorrow a government is elected of a new party in Tamil Nadu, and they say that we are a new party, we oppose FDI, although for 10 years we have implemented it. One more point, only one more point.
Okay.
Just half a minute. A second very good example is GST. GST was opposed tooth and nail by the BJP, even though they were for VAT earlier. After GST, one second, after GST, we have negotiated with the BJP and we have a BJP Mr. Modi as a Deputy Chief Minister. Now, the BJP says, okay, having agreed after 1 year of debate on the GST, if we say we are going to oppose it, the BJP is not doing it. I'm just telling you an example. How can the country run?
Okay, Mr. Shekhar, how does a country run then? If every policy is reversed when a government is changed, how does a country run?
I think growth is being thought of as actual running of the government. Growth and running and everyday life are not exactly the same. Maximization of profit and leading a life is not one and the same thing. I think FICCI starts frothing at the mouth, and all the CIIs and all of those people start, raising this ruckus about how the country is going to, simply collapse. I mean, we are a country where major unrest is happening. Every state is seeing an unrest. So now if a new party comes in and says, okay, listen, just hold on, let's pull the brakes a little, just step out of the red, let's just think for a sec. The moment they do that, it's somehow every single party starts shouting about how this contemplation is wrong.
Let me take that to Ashok, because you've been listening to this, you seem to be more than a little perturbed by some of the things that have been said. Is this okay? What has happened with the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, does this set a wrong precedent, is the question.
I have three things to say. One, Mr. Singh and Mr. Shergill are perfectly entitled to opposing FDI and retail or capitalism or whatever. I don't agree with Mr. Singh's points, but I don't want to get into an argument here, because frankly FDI and retail was debated for several years. There were several reports. There was a ICRIA report, there was a Department of DIPP report. It was well debated. Some people were convinced, some were not. In its wisdom, the central government took a decision and gave states certain autonomy. In its wisdom, the then Delhi government took a decision. Now, there is a certain tradition of not reversing decisions taken by a previous government, especially if they have long-term economic or international implications. For example, when the first BJP government came in '96, despite opposing Enron, they went ahead and honored Enron. Whether that was right or wrong, it was India's credibility at stake.
Yeah.
Give you another example. The BJP NDA government ordered Embraer aircraft, I remember, for VIPs. The Congress opposed it. But when the Congress came to power, it honored that agreement, because it was India's credibility at stake. In the same manner, even if the current government is opposed to FDI and retail, the fact is certain long-term decisions were taken on the basis of the previous government's permission. It has to be honored. It can't just be reversed. That's what. Let me finish, please. So I understand you have a new form of democracy. It does not preclude interruption, please. So I don't think that can happen quite easily. Third, I'm a little perturbed or surprised actually at the manner in which there seems to be a disconnect between AAP's voters in Delhi, the majority of AAP's voters, or the broad middle classes that voted for AAP, and the ideological shift in recent weeks or recent days, as is evident from AAP's leadership. I think AAP's voters, and they won a lot of votes in Delhi and won 28 seats, certainly voted for a cleaner brand of politics. It was a vote of protest against the Congress and the BJP. I don't think it was a vote against the capitalist system.